Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this morning session. Can you guys all hear me? Okay. So we are on our 7th annual Google Camp conference. My name is Eileen, and I will be your monitor tech for this session. I'm here to provide virtual support to our presenter and to our participants. Should you have any questions, you can go ahead and send me a chat, and or you can private message me. I will do my best to assist you. Announce our morning session. Our title for today is going to be CS plus Society through AL Explorations, presented to you by Dr. Emily Tomford.
Thanks, Aileen. And welcome, everybody. I think people are going to be trickling in from the keynote. Oh, there we go. We're getting a kind of critical mass here. My favorite thing is when my Zoom goes all Brady Bunch and symmetrical. I definitely love square numbers. So good morning, everyone. My name is Emily Tomford. I am the computer science coordinator at the California Department of Education. I use she, her pronouns, and AI is my jam. So AI is actually the subject my PhD is in. And so I love anytime I can bring AI to the conversation, especially as it relates to, our students living in a world that is AI enabled and making good choices about it. So as people come in, I'm going to ask, this is going to be an interactive presentation. So the more videos on, the more people we can look at and talk with. We're going to be using our cameras to explore AI today with computer vision. And so if you can turn on your cameras and fully interact, that will really help. If you cannot, I totally understand. Anyone who can will help to contribute to make this session much better and more interactive for everyone else. Thank you so much, Susan. Wonderful. Thank you. Excellent. So, great. We're going to be using our cameras as much as possible. If you do not have camera access, you will be able to live vicariously through the people who are using their cameras. And I want to start out in the chat. I would like to know from everyone what grades you teach. There we go. Let me know what grades you teach. It could be many, it could be one. I get a lot of people who are like, I teach kind of K-12. Yeah, okay. 6-12, K-12, lovely. K-12 homeschool. I see 6-12. Nice. This is a lot of people teaching multiple grades. Are you all tech coaches or technology specialists or administrators? No. 1 and 9-12. Lovely. Non-classroom based. That sounds fun. Charter school. Well, welcome everyone who you just joined us. You are here at the AI exploration session. My name is Emily Tomford. I'm the computer science coordinator at the California Department of Education. And I am asking people in the chat what grades they teach, what kinds of ages of people they see every day and serve. Great. We've got a good range here. A bunch of people. You're in the right place if you're here for 6-12. The activities today are appropriate for kids who can reason using high-level functions and solve multi-step problems and use their executive function to plan and execute. So there's a lot of these things that you might be able to use for younger grades, but you'd use them in different pieces in different ways. So I'm going to be modeling more for a 6-12 beginner experience. Does anyone in here have any computer science experience? There's anyone that's like, I can code. Just considers themselves able to code. Has anyone tried any CS in their classroom before?
I've monkeyed around on code.org with the hour of code, helping out students kind of get to know the basics of what coding is on that kind of fun game level.
Gotcha. So it's the exposure level.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great. So this activity is going to be appropriate for people who do not know how to code. If you do know how to code, though, and you do this, you can level up. by taking this exploration further and actually creating the computational artifact that would go along with this. So the best computer science and AI lessons have the discussion of ethics and impact on society and the creation of artifacts together. But that's not really unlocked until you learn how to code, which is many years. So in the future, when your kids are coming in with 6 years of already having computer science experience, then this kind of lesson will be different. So great. I'm gonna pin myself for a second because we are going to look, I'm gonna be the sacrificial video person who does the examples. So we're gonna go in talking about artificial intelligence as it impacts our society. And one of the ways that it impacts us every day and in multiple ways is through computer vision. Now, there's this wonderful researcher who we'll get into later called Joy Buolamwini, and she has this term called the coded gaze. The coded gaze is how you are seen by computers. So if you've studied, if you took a course on feminism in college or something, you might know about like the male gaze. There you go. So like the male gaze is how you are seen by men. And so you could do this in any way, like the female gaze, the straight gaze, the any gaze. So Joy Buolamwini's concept is about the coded gaze, how you're seen by computers, how computers see you. And we can be really critical of that and test that. Do we like the way computers see us, right? Do we agree with it? Is it equitable? Is it respectful of who we are? So one of the best ways to test how computers see you is in Zoom. So I'm going to choose my virtual background here, and I'm going to be critical of this. So here's my virtual background. My hair is a bit complicated. It's curly. And as the AI sees me, right, this is AI using a virtual background, is the computer's making a decision about where the human is in the picture and doing edge detection. Edge detection is figuring out where the line is around the person so that they can put in the background. Okay. So I'm testing this out. This is the coded gaze of me right now today with this hairstyle and this clothing, but also of me forever with my gender expression and my skin tone and my setting. So I don't like this. I don't like how it keeps cutting out my hair. Like it keeps kind of going back and forth about where the edges of my head are. And even when it cuts around my hair, it leaves these little kind of weird shadows, like the webs between my fingers. I've got like webs between my hair. And so it makes me feel uncomfortable, really. Like anytime I have to put on a virtual background, I'm very distracted by it because I don't like how the computer sees me, right? So I encourage you to try this, like turn on your virtual background or share your experiences of having used it in the past. How does the computer see you? Go ahead and unmute yourself or put it in the chat. Oh, Aaron says he doesn't like it. Start calling on people. Heidi, you don't like it? What don't you like about how the computer sees you?
Similar things that you said, virtual backgrounds, I tend to just disappear into them. And like, same thing, like if I don't choose the absolute correct lighting, and I think this is the case for everyone, like half my head disappears and I'm distracted by it too. I'll be talking to be like, oh my, this side of my head is gone. And so I prefer not to use them because I find them distracting as well. Like this one.
Oh, we have Nicole. I was so sad to miss your keynote today, Nicole, but I'm super inspired by your article. We'll talk later. Do you want to add anything about the coded gaze and about how the computer sees you?
Yeah, it sees me with missing a part of my head.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not a fan either.
No, that is not respectful and honoring your carefully done hair, right? Yeah. Cool. Who else? How about Persephone? How do you feel about this coded gaze?
Sorry, I'm trying to figure it out. So not quite comfortable with it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. We're in a setting where we're just one person in front of a computer. But like, have you ever done it when there's two people? Right? It's kind of weird. I was in a session the other day. There was the person in front was a dark-skinned man, and the Zoom background kept thinking like the picture on his wall was the person because it had light skin. And it was like, that's not cool. It kept switching back and forth and not detecting him. And you know, so many things can go wrong with this. I want to put this up just a bit because there's new stuff in Zoom. I'm going to turn off my background and put on a video filter. Okay. The unicorn filter. So this is a different sort of way that AI is making choices. It's no longer trying to figure out where I am in the outline around me. It's now trying to identify where the top of my head is. So you can like test it out. And this, I always think this does really well. I would much rather use, for me, the video filter than the background filter, right? Oh, Nicole, you're looking good there. Oh, look at Persephone. That's cute. Oh, look, you've got a little sprout in your head. That's nice.
Yeah, I taught English to Chinese students for quite a while until California kind of put the stop on that, and they spent the whole time playing with these things. It was quite a good, fun distraction,
Yeah,
but a distraction nonetheless.
totally. Ooh, is wobbly. I think kids need to be given the time to properly explore this and critically. So when we do science, this is my favorite one, even though my glasses don't do it. Anyway, so our science standards are imbued with the idea of phenomena. And coming from like the phenomenon as the unit of exploration and the thing that we're trying to figure out and kind of make sense of. But I think computer science as an engineering discipline can come from the perspective of artifacts. So we don't really have natural phenomena in computer science, but we do have artifacts that are created by humans. And that means they're kind of a level above phenomena in a critical way, because we can say this exists, but should it? Is it good enough? Is it biased? Is it a tool of oppression or of liberation? Right? We can be critical of this thing. So if we look at the Zoom background as the artifact, and let kids have that time to properly explore it, make decisions about it, think about when it should be used and when it shouldn't, you know, what should be the rules about it. I think that is such a huge impact of like giving them those tools to interact with society, you know, in a way that's artifact bounded, so that the next time they look at an artifact, they can think, is this AI? What data is this using? Who is this impacting? Should it be used in this context? Right? They can interact critically with an AI-enabled society. So that's the first bit. We're going to think about the coded gaze. And now, like digging deeper into this artifact or this unnatural phenomenon, we're going to look at the principles by which this is used. So we're actually going to dive deeper into computer vision and train a machine learning algorithm to identify pictures and to tell the difference between different pictures. So I'm going to share my screen now, and this is a kind of application where I'm going to be using my video for multiple things. So I'm going to actually turn off my Zoom video so that I can turn on teachablemachine.withgoogle.com, and I'm going to put it in the chat here. You should feel free to follow along on your own computer with your own video, or to just watch me on mine. So on the Teachable Machine website, first thing you need is the blue Get Started button. And then there are multiple things we can train, but always start with the image project. These other two are more complicated. So we're always going to start with the image project and the standard image model. So make the first choice on everything. Okay, here we go. You see me back on the screen now? There we go. That's where you'll see me, not in the Zoom. You'll see me here. Okay, so this is how we're going to put certain images at the top for one thing, other images at the bottom for another thing. And then we're going to train the machine learning model to tell the difference between those two things. We're going to be able to test it over here. Okay, so we have to decide two things for the computer to distinguish between. And things we've used in the past are things like emotions, like what my face looks like when I'm feeling different emotions. Things that I am wearing, behaviors that I'm doing. I had kids do one to tell you whether you were wearing your mask correctly. So does anyone have any initial inspirations for what they want to, what kind of visions? What do you want the computer to see? How should we code this gaze?
We could do if somebody's holding up 2 fingers or 3 fingers.
Ooh,
you
2
know.
fingers or 3 fingers?
Yeah.
In a workshop the other day, I had teenagers do American Sign Language letters. Yeah,
That's great.
it was really cool. Okay, so this being our first exploration, we can train it on any 2 things just to figure out how it works, okay? So this hold to record button is going to capture pictures of me like in a video way. So I'm going to hold it down. I'm going to do one, and I'm going to put my hand in multiple places. I'm going to do it with my head far away and looking in a different direction and maybe down and off the screen. My hand is in multiple positions, right? I'm giving it lots of information about all the ways that one could look like. Okay, and I'm going to name that class 1. Let's do a 2. And the webcam over here, we're going to do 2. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Ooh, back of the hand, 2. Excellent. Okay, R2. So I've got lots of pictures that have me in both of them, have my background in both of them, have my, my dress in both of them, have my glasses in both of them. The only thing I want to be different is whether I'm holding up 1 or 2 fingers. Okay. So now I'm going to train the model, and this takes a few minutes. And if you're on a Chromebook, it might take a bit longer. So this is doing the math. It's doing the compare and contrast. So what is the same between the 2 classes that we should ignore? And what is different between the 2 classes that is the important part we should tell between? And this training in here, this is all the actual computer science. But we've abstracted away from it in this tool because your kids don't know how to code yet, so they're not doing it. Okay, so over on the right here, we're now able to test this. Okay, I'm gonna hold up 1 finger, 2 fingers. Oh, what does it show me when I put up 1 finger? Tell me about these results down here. What do you observe?
It's seeing it.
Seeing it, it's pretty confident.
Yeah, very confident.
Yeah, I'm getting this big orange bar that is pretty happy with 1. What if I do 2? 2.
Ooh. Oh.
Much less confidence with 2.
Mhm.
I also noticed when you flip your hand around and do the 1 but backwards, I think it's going to think that's, it's kind of confused because I think you only did the back of the hand photo with your 2 training
There you go.
instead of the 1, perhaps.
Erin, can you give me a generalization about that? What kind of principle should I apply when I go back and retrain and choose different pictures?
You need to cover both your as many variables as you can in each of your, what are they called? Your image
Like classes.
sets, your
Yeah.
classes. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Any other
Yeah, so
observations?
you'd really like the more data it has, the more variables it has. To speak of what Dr. Nicole was talking about this morning with finding that equity, we need as much data as we can from all people across the spectrum in order for the AI to really capture the potential inputs that it's going to get.
Absolutely. I'm going to try a new thing, okay? What's up with this? Who can explain what you're seeing here? Go ahead, Heidi.
It's confused.
It's confused. What should it say?
Should say it doesn't recognize it.
Right?
Mhm.
This is 3. I mean, this is 3 as well. we don't even have an option for 3. Right?
It seems like
Go ahead.
it seems like the AI, when it doesn't have enough data to figure it out, like it's just in those nanoseconds, it's thinking 1, no 2, no 1, no 2, no 1, no 2. It should have a third option of just, I don't know. And it's troubling that the AI wants to choose one of those instead of recognizing the data isn't sufficient to make a good enough determination. And Heidi did a workshop yesterday that was machine learning, which is similar application where you're setting the what was that word? It was the percentage of
Confidence.
confidence. Yeah,
That's on
it
your-
seems like there should always be a confidence level in any AI systems that are out there. A confidence level, where if it's below that confidence, it's not going to guess, or you end up with
Yeah.
problems or a
And
higher
that's-
degree.
That's where you come in and use the coding. So this is just a model, right? And this is just telling you what the model thinks it is. Once you put this into your own computer program, you're going to be able to tell it rules like only put the number 1 on the screen if the answer, the output is 1 and the confidence interval is greater than 90%. Right? And if neither of them is greater than 90%, then do an I don't know condition, right? Put nothing on the screen or something, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good fail safe.
Yeah. So this part is the model. It is not in itself a whole app or a whole website or a whole tool, right? It is just creating the model. And the cool part here is at the top, there's a blue button that says export model. So if you are someone who can code in JavaScript or P5, or even there's a way to get this into Teachable Machine to put it into Scratch, you upload your model. And then it takes a few seconds. You're going to copy this link to then put it into something else. We're not going to go into the actual coding of it today, just because there's not a robust set of shared experiences in this room. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the link to my model so that you can test it on your own. And I'm going to ask a volunteer to test this with me. So if you can click on that link and share your screen and test my model on you.
Really quick, Emily, did you say you can put it in Scratch too?
Yeah, if there's a really arcane button in Teachable in machine learning for kids where you can import a TensorFlow model. Yeah, and then you can get it into your Scratch.
Oh, my worlds just collided. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. So who's our volunteer who'd like to test out my model on you?
I'm trying it right now with the link that you sent
Yeah.
over. It's
Can you share your screen so we can see what you're doing?
sure.
Oh, Susan, you're getting an error.
Let's make sure I share the right screen. Okay, so
There
here
you
we
go.
are. It's got pretty good confidence, whatever direction I'm, well, actually, if I, because maybe my thumb gets a little confused there. Mostly pretty accurate though.
Yeah. So that is on someone with the same skin tone as me.
Different
You know,
hair. And I don't have my
different hair.
glasses on today.
No glasses, right? We have a different background. We have a different color shirt.
It definitely has a harder time with the twos.
Yeah. There you go. Is there anyone with a
Very cool.
different presentation who wants to share it? Like I'm scanning videos here. And I'm seeing, what about Persephone? Are you able to access it? Can you share your screen with us and show us how the model works for you? Because I notice your background is different from ours. Your hair is very different from mine. Got to, you look different to me, and so I wonder if you look different to the computer. Yeah.
So I clicked on the link.
Great.
And And where, this is what I have. Let me share my screen. Where do I go from here?
Oh, there you go. There was error opening your webcam. Oh, some people have a problem with this. Can you go into Zoom and turn off your camera?
Okay.
I teach this lesson a lot online, so I've gotten used to managing cameras, but that's like a big, like if you do it in your classroom, you're going to be in person, you're not going to have such a camera problem. Cool. And then Persephone, can you reload this page? Hopefully that'll force it to ask you for your camera permission again.
Okay. Oops. I use
Okay, just copy paste the link from the chat. Just click on that. This is definitely a lot of wrangling of digital literacy things. Cool.
okay, so
Good, Susan. I'm glad that worked. Yeah, my AI sessions are always the one with the fewest people with actual cameras on because they're off using their own camera in their own training.
it's still doing the same thing.
Oh, could you share your screen again on Zoom? Okay, make sure permissions are enabled or switch to image uploading. Can you close this tab? And then close the one next to it that just says teachable machine. Yeah, close both of those. Great. Can you just open up a new tab and then we can try to copy paste.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going.
That is okay. We're just trying to force your computer to reactivate your webcam with.
Okay, so it's a new page is open.
Great. Are you getting the same error?
Yes, there's an opening your webcam.
Okay. The thing I would advise at this point is if you're frustrated, then just give up and watch. If you're not frustrated and want to keep doing it, I would close down your browser, restart it, and then go to this. It's just hopefully it's just making it ask you like retry to do the camera thing. So that is up to you. I'm going to leave you to decide what your level of frustration with the technology right now.
Okay.
Can I point out a digital equity moment with what just happened? You know, in the classroom, there are those students who have the patience to restart their computer and restart their browser, and there are those who just like the first time an error message pops up, they're done and they're off. And there's that balance of helping students move past that anxiety of, you got this, you can handle restarting the computer, and getting to that success, while others are just more capable naturally, I guess, or they're more patient with it naturally. I don't have the solution. I'm just,
and that can be
pointing out
different day to day, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes on some days I'm just like, I cannot even, right? If one little thing is going to push me over. And I think allowing kids to have those days is really important, to be like, this is not a day where I'm going to bother with that. I'm just going to partner with someone else.
Right. And in my particular charter model, we work a lot with the parents themselves. And it's very much the same with them. There are those who are very allergic to technology, and don't want to jump through the hoops just to get the page to load. They'll say, just tell me in your way. Yeah.
I think, and supporting those people is important because they are users of the technology, which means we as creators of technology serve them.
Yeah.
Right. So on one part, it's about, creating that resilience within people so they will be willing to engage with technology that's frustrating. But on the other side, it's acknowledging, technology should not be frustrating. Like,
but it is.
But that's the thing. It's saying like, okay, so in the future, when you get a career making new technology, how will you make it and test it so it doesn't frustrate people? Great. How's it going, Persephone? How are you feeling? Good. Did you get it to work, or are you're good? No, it's enough for today. That's fine. Totally fine. Great. Okay. How are you feeling now? We have talked about AI. We've talked about some issues of AI bias and technology inequity. We've talked about the coded gaze. We talked about training models. We talked about what those models can be used for. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I definitely like the idea of students trying out each other's models in here in the teachable machine, and just seeing, especially getting students across races and heights, physique, and seeing how that affects the AI's interpretation of what it's seeing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It just opens up awareness, I think, to the students about how the AI sees people differently.
Yeah. Let's hear some other voices, other thoughts. I see Susan in the chat. How do we use this practically in the classroom? Is it just exposure and awareness at this level?
Good question.
That is a great question. Heidi, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. I mean, I think at this level, if we're talking middle school, particularly, I think it is just exposure and awareness at this point. I think even for adults, there's such a, this is also new and such a lack of awareness in general. I think everything that we'd be doing around AI at this level would be exposure and awareness. If I were in the class, I would probably tie this in. Well, I mentioned this yesterday. I taught social studies, so I see a lot of tie-ins to social studies and civil rights and things that we could discuss with AI in relating it to the curriculum that way. But also, I think it really goes nicely with digital wellness and digital citizenship. And getting into any of those issues around AI and how do we tackle those things. How do we manage AI when it's making decisions for us, right? Like we saw, Aaron mentioned, it's interesting, it's going to decide for us. So I think there's a lot of cool discussions that could be had around the implications of AI. Oh, Persephone's got it.
Yay.
You want to add to that? Yeah.
This, what we've done so far, this kind of exposure level thing, I would say this is day one of an AI experience. If you only have one day in the year, then do this, right? But if this is this day one of an AI unit, you've got 6 more weeks of content to do that you can get really deep into it. And there's loads more things. But at this point, I think a lot of people are just starting on, I can do one day.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I like to, when you mentioned filters, thinking about, and Dr. Ahmad mentioned digital wellness, thinking about filters and the impact it has on our students and us and how we see ourselves, and that desire to keep up with a filtered look or to look like someone who doesn't even look like they look, right? There's just so many interesting discussions that could be had around, how do we cope with these things in society? How do we live in a filtered world? Anyway, I think I'm preaching to the choir here, but just looking at AI and filters and how those are driving so much of our world and our students' worlds, I think they would be really into talking about it. I think it would be a great class discussion.
Yeah, Dr. Ahmad brings up a good point. Machines are as biased as the humans programming the machines. So much of that, that is one of the principles that we have in core computer science, is that the errors in the program are all on this side, right? The computer can only do what we tell it to do. It has no intention. It has no good or ill will, right? It has no knowledge of what task it's achieving. So all of the bias, even if we say this is a machine bias, It was all the result of a human decision at some level, whether it's in the data you put in or the way you're doing your calculations in your math, the types of equations you chose to use, right? Exactly. And the lack of diversity in the computer industry is just perpetuating the amount of human bias that goes into the machine bias. And that is why I am here, right? I am in CS education. I could be in industry, right? Like my PhD is in AI. I could just work making AI tools and like in research and stuff. But I am in education specifically because the next generation of makers of digital artifacts needs to be as diverse as the set of users. And that is, I think, how we're going to tackle big problems like climate change and you know, the gender pay gap and child poverty and, you know, all of these problems that are specific to, you know, impact different communities differently. We need a diverse set of people solving the problems. And creating the tools of creation for the next generation. Okay, we're gonna extend this activity a little bit. So this is what I would do like day 2, or like the second half of if I had a longer period. We are going to draft an AI code of conduct. So I'm gonna put you in a breakout rooms in a bit. We're gonna talk first, but I'm gonna probably just break you into 2 rooms. And I want you to talk about, just come up with, propose, talk about your ideas and propose one rule to add to our shared AI code of conduct. And so in order to support that, we're all going to start by analyzing one particular rule that exists in the real world and see if it is good or bad, if it's inequitable, how we would change it. And the rule is this. I'm going to type it in the chat at the same time as I'm saying it. So it's all employees must use a virtual background when working from home. Okay, imagine this as a policy in your workplace. All employees must use a virtual background when working from home. Based on what we've done today, what are your thoughts on this? Good, bad, equitable, inequitable, unforeseen consequences? Do you want to start us off, Susan? What are your initial thoughts? It would be frustrating for someone with visual sensory issues. I can totally see that. Totally see that. Who else has thoughts? Persephone? Trying to find the unmute button. It's buried in there somewhere. You got it. I'm going to come back to you, Heidi, after Persephone.
I think must is such a concrete word. Maybe can use a virtual background if they would like to, giving them options. What if like my computer, I don't have too many options for different backgrounds. So in fact, one of them didn't even have any option unless I had downloaded an app or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, maybe I want my house. I don't know.
Yeah. So problems of access, of choice. Heidi, can you talk about why an organization would want to enact this rule?
Yeah, I mean, we probably have all seen things in backgrounds over the last couple of years that were questionable. So while I don't agree with the policy, I understand why an organization might request, like must, like Persephone says, is a tough word, but I can see why an organization would request it just to save themselves from potential issues. Yeah, that's a tough question. I wouldn't want to do it either. You know, but I can see why it would be a rule.
Mhm.
Yeah, I understand that too, and I also wouldn't like to rule myself, but
Right.
I can understand how an industry or an agency might want that uniformity amongst its employees, in the same way that UPS requires all of its drivers to wear a UPS uniform, and by that very rule, my 19-year-old son is never going to join UPS because he has sensory issues and can't handle that stiff cotton. He can't do it. And there's a whole list of jobs that he is not going to apply for because they have a uniform rule. Is that an inequity? Maybe. He can't control his sensory issues. It's not something that he chose. You know, it brings
Thanks.
up different questions, but it kind of relates to an agency can require us to have that uniformity in our Zoom backgrounds, and we may not like it. And those of us who are really bothered by it don't have to work there. I don't know, do we need to be that harsh with ourselves as employees?
Yeah.
It's one of those tough questions.
Dr. Howard, do you want to talk to your resources?
No, yeah, I was just thinking about, those who actually can't or have difficulties using the virtual background. So depending on the time of day or what's happening on my computer, what I'm trying to do, if I use a virtual background, it slows down things. And so you have that lag time with opening different apps or working on different projects. So where a company may think that it's somehow creating an equity in terms of everyone has the same background, and it can create an inequity. There's this balance, that balancing act I think Erin mentioned earlier. We have to think about, are we creating an inequity by requiring the use of the virtual backgrounds? Because if my system resources slow down and my productivity is impacted, I may not be able to get as much done as a colleague. It can impact the experience of the person who's engaging with me, whether it's a learner in the classroom or a colleague who I'm meeting with, where they're seeing me delayed because of my lovely background that I've been required to use.
Absolutely.
We mentioned earlier, we're distracted by seeing ourselves with the virtual background, but Dr. Howard, if you've met with someone that has a background that's doing distracting things as well, it can affect the conversation or the productivity. I don't know, it seems like it initially kind of a simple discussion, but the more you talk about it, the more this could go really deep.
Yeah. Dr. Ahmad, can you talk about how it might come with a lens of equity?
Okay, so I'm in a classroom and it is on a big screen, so I don't know if you can hear me. So during distance learning, we experienced that our students were not allowed to use backgrounds. And we saw things we didn't want to see. And that's when it kind of struck me that if there was a background provided by the district, it would have helped the students. And other thing which I experienced during distance learning, and this is my personal experience, I sold my house right before COVID lockdown, and I moved to 1-bedroom apartment. And it was just me and my daughter, and then my son have to move in. And there are 3 adults in 1-bedroom apartment. And you know how the prices went up, and I was not able to find 2-bedroom apartment, and I was teaching, working in Zoom. So think about that if I have to be on camera all the time. So, and I might share with you that one day I really was standing in my laundry and I was doing a session on Zoom because my son was in Zoom and my daughter was taking a class at UCR. So I can totally understand using a background because it could be basically an equity issue. You don't know what the situation is. And that's when I kind of related with our students that when we see people walking behind us, we are seeing dad without a shirt or mom is cooking, because that's an equity issue. They might be living in 1-bedroom house, or maybe they're living in a studio apartment. you don't know the situation. So this is a different perspective that if you come from that lens, I think that it's okay. Yes, connectivity and all these issues. We need to consider all of this.
Thank you for that. So we've definitely we've gone into the gray areas, right? There are even a policy that is aiming to be equitable in one way can have unintended consequences of inequity in other ways, right? Something that might be meant to protect an employer would adversely impact employees, right? Maybe even impacting their, ability or willingness to have that job, to work at that company. And even just when we're trying to create equity by removing a background, that can, in the foreground, there are different things that it impacts at the same time. So maybe you don't see my my parents, working behind me, but also you don't see half my face, right, at the same time. So there, background and foreground issues in every aspect of this debate. So that's an example of one policy that maybe you would propose or not propose or critique in this next part. So I'm going to send you off to like 5-minute breakout room. And I want you to come up with, based on that discussion or the other things we've learned today or something, what is a policy you would like to propose into the AI code of conduct? So that is policies by which AI people make things, by which AI products should be used in society, or by what is allowed by law or not. Okay, so if you have trouble directing your conversation, then a good place to start is, what if companies used AI in hiring? So think about policies around that, and you don't have to completely explore the entire space, just one idea to bring back to propose. We're going to propose this rule, code of conduct, policy, law for how AI should be made or used. Cool? Okay, I'm sending you on to breakout rooms. I'll re-put the question in the broadcast when you're there, and I hope you have fun. Welcome back. You are room 1. You're going to be asked to present first. Room 2 will be joining us in 1 second. There we go. Welcome back, room 2. I am so excited to hear about your policy proposals. Welcome to the joint session of the House and Senate hearing on AI policy. We are happy to welcome 2 select committees that have been consulting on AI policies for the new legislative session. So I would like to invite the representative from Group 1 to please put forward your policy and explain to us what it means.
I'm not sure if when I posted it in the chat in my group, if it
It did not come through to us.
No, it didn't. Okay, then I'll put it down again. So our policy is that data that trains the AI algorithms must be a representative sample. Did I write that right? Must be a representative sample of the subset of the population that is affected by the AI. So that is, the data needs to take into account who that AI is going to interact with on a later basis. Dr. Nicole recalled that clip of the institution that had people working in an office environment where the lights would shut off if nobody was in the room, and so a Black worker was left in the dark because the system hadn't been trained to recognize him, and so we're saying that any AI needs to know who it's going to interact with in the end game and take a good statistically significant representative sample when it's training the AI.
Great, thank you, Team 1. Team 2, I'm going to put this to you. Do you see any flaws or holes or unintended consequences or difficulties in implementing for this policy? Would you like to push back against anything or ask questions?
who determines what a representative sample is? And what happens when something changes, like you hire a new person into your office and they represent a group that wasn't intended initially, but now they are? And what is the cost of retraining the AI to accommodate for that?
Yeah, that's a great point, because a hiring committee, they might have that in the back of their mind that if we hire this person, then we're going to have to pay X number of dollars to retrain the AI. So we might have some holdback there and not hiring somebody who's not already built into their AI system.
That is a big unintended consequence. Well found out. Any other critiques or difficulties or consequences for team one? Let's get one more. You're allowed to be from team one as well. If you see anything that could be better about this or that might cause problems. Yes, cost. It might be expensive, might be difficult. Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Howard. All right, in the interest of time, the select committee will now move on to team two. Group two, please present to us your proposed policy. You gonna take it, RJ?
I think we've settled on that the data, that basically the data for AI is ours. Like, it's the individuals that the data is collected on. And so that means that we would have ownership and the ability to either allow that data to stand or to remove portions of it as needed.
Excellent. So a policy related to data sovereignty. That is a good term to Google if you want to learn it. Data sovereignty. Excellent. Okay, team one. What do you think about that? Challenges, unintended consequences?
Whoever's in control of that data sovereignty has their own biases. And so if it's just a single person, that's a huge red flag. If it's a committee that owns that data, then we'd want them to be, a varied population, because the potential to have their ownership of the data lead to biases in the system is huge.
Yeah, well, my intention was that the individual who has the data collected. So I own my data, you own your data, not someone else owns our data. So if I want to tell Google, I don't want to see ads for potato chips because I bought, 300 cases of potato chips last month, I can decide that that is no longer something their AI can take into account or even maintain as a history.
Cool. What do we
So
think
your
about
rule is more from the consumer side?
Yes, the rule is that,
Rather-
yes, it's the consumer side. So there's no entities above the individual who own data about individuals without their consent.
Cool. How might this impact the creation of tools or conducting research?
It would definitely limit funding,
Limit funding.
because if I'm the end consumer or the end product of the company, without my data, they don't make money. In theory, they have to retool their model. And they'd have to offer something that is worthwhile for me to give up that data.
Yeah, I think it would definitely increase the costs on AI that's trained on people and people information, but it wouldn't impact, say, AI about sea turtles or about like plastic in the ocean, that kind of thing, right? It's a people-centric policy. Susan,
But I feel,
yes.
okay, I was just gonna say, I feel that like people-centered, because that's where the money is more often, it would it unnecessarily, or it would eventually impact other AI products, because probably the innovation drive is to make money, which would be people-centered.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave Susan with the last word here. In general, the more data, the better, but the way data is used in an almost predatory way is a huge problem. That is a profound idea to end on. And I want you to leave kind of with a sense of, whoa, AI is cool, but also, whoa, whoever controls AI has so much power. And who should those people be? What kind of education should they have gotten before they got there? Because that is the part that we can really, really impact. What educational experiences will the next generation of AI makers have? What kind of values do we need to instill in them? And that is all we have time for today. Leaving you on that profound thought, I am sending you on to your next session to hopefully have lots of fun and think about things. And I am going to give to you the way to find out more about AI forever is at csforca.org/AI. So this is the AI for CA group has a website, and we meet every month, and you are welcome to join us. Just let me know. I'm going to put my email in the chat, or you can go anywhere on this page. There's loads and loads of links and opportunities to join the AI for CA working group, which is part of CS for CA. And you do not need to know anything about AI initially in order to join. You just have to be, interested in a more just future. So I'm going to leave you with that. And I thank you, Aileen, for helping, and for everyone to participating. Go have fun, learn about AI. Don't let it control you.